Like, this is going to be so much fun.
I'm ready.
Happy Friday, guys. We are back. It's The Last Word, presented by Chrisman Commentary. Today's episode is sponsored by Danda Road Consulting. Danda Road, led by their desire to create impact, their mission is to drive strategic growth across the mortgage ecosystem, creating a future where digital efficiency, breakthrough innovation, and transformative impact converge. That's a mouthful. But, or talk about impact and impactful news today. There's all kinds of news relative to Danda Road and one of our co-hosts on The Last Word. This morning, Jody Hall was named the new CEO and president of the Mortgage Collaborative, TMC. Congratulations, Jody and TMC, and congratulations, frankly, to the members of TMC and the partners of TMC for the amazing leadership that they're about to get from our friend Jody. So congrats to all. I know you two are both, we're all friends of Jody, but you're also very, very much friends of TMC. So we're going to get into that in a second. But that's not all. There's more news, guys. This is like a breaking news day.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. So Danda Road Consulting, Jody's company that she started, announced as well that Bianca Bruce is been named president and chief strategy officer. So all the great things that have been going on at Danda Road are going to continue to go on, and there's even more great things in the works. By the way, I got a little sneak peek earlier, but just a huge news day on a Friday when we talking about what we heard Monday from Washington, D.C. And we're going to get into all of that, but I want to get your reaction first on.
There's new presidents everywhere. 3 new presidents just announced.
Yeah. What's up with that, guys? What do you think?
I couldn't be more excited for Jody and for Bianca, two amazing ladies that really have bright futures ahead of them and have already been contributing to the industry, to Danda Road. You know, Bianca's been involved with Danda Road and done many, many things with them. So she's just being elevated and recognized for the work that she's doing. And the same thing with Jody. She's always been very active in TMC, supporter of both previous, presidents. And with the changes that folks have made, this was an opportunity for her to step in and be able to do more. And now I think that what that means for us is it's also our time to step up and do more. We do have 3 new presidents, 2 that we got to announce today, and one that the country selected in November. And again, I always think about whatever administration is in charge, that it doesn't matter if you voted for them, against them, if you love them, if you hate them. They are the leaders of our country, and it's still up to us. And I know, KP, you and I have talked about this. It's still up to us to handle the change and the things that need to happen in our industry and work with whoever is in whatever chair, elected, appointed, lifelong public servant, that is an employee, whoever that is. It's our job to figure out how to work with them to help the home buying public.
I would say we're coming full circle here. 4 years later, literally this month. Oh my gosh, 5 years ago. It was 2020, one of my first TMC event in New Orleans. I did 2 events back to back, and of course, that's when everyone was getting killed by New Orleans Mardi Gras floats. But little did they know, like thousands of us got COVID. It took it back to all over the country. Yeah, exactly. Remember that? So
before it was a thing.
Yeah, before it was a thing. And that's where I got to, really dig in with the TMC team, and they just love and cherish Jody. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so very, very well deserved, very good fit. I will also say that Bianca and I have worked together on Access Lending Academy, which, Jerry and Paul Gelati co-founded, which is an educational, system. They're doing some stuff with MEC right now, mortgage educators. And Bianca's been part of their marketing and messaging team from day one, and she's been great. So kudos to them. And yeah, I mean, get back to like the meat of the week, right? Our president's day one, signing a bunch of executive orders, and some people tend to focus on like all the propaganda and the mainstream legacy media and post weird pictures and stuff that have nothing to do with housing. It's really mind-boggling to see literally editors like go off the rails. But I digress. I don't want to make this thing personal, but I will say, when Biden was president, what's interesting is when Biden ran against Obama the first time, I actually felt like Joe Biden was a moderate Democrat, and I really thought he could have won. And his policies on war are actually, pretty mainstream in DC. So he's not like an extreme viewpoint. Although I will say his mental decline in the last couple of years, which I never made fun of, by the way, because as I wear my dad's jacket, who passed 4 years ago as of Tuesday, I watched him face Parkinson's for 20 years, and so it was never something I wanted to make fun of President Biden about, because I know what it's like at the end of life. And to be honest, Trump's not very young either. These things, they go fast. We saw it all happen right in front of our eyes. So you kind of wonder, who was helping President Biden the last couple of years with some of the things they're doing. And but the first 90 days is supposed to be a grace period for the president, where everyone's like, all right, let's see what he's all about. Let's see what he does. But of course, the liberal mainstream media is just hammering him from day one. There's no let up, right? So it's a very savage world that we live in. But I'm hopeful that the animal spirits that have been awakened in the stock market and housing will bring a renewed sense of optimism, so we can thrive in 25.
So let's kind of poke at some of the executive orders that are more focused on housing and real estate finance specifically. I think, the good news is yesterday we were told that rates need to be lowered. So that's pretty cool.
I would like some of that magic fairy dust. I'd like to be in control of that too.
Yeah. It's funny because, people who don't like Trump will certainly be more mean about what we're kind of joking about, right? And then people who like Trump, may say, hey, at least he's trying.
Right.
So like literally interest rates are what drive our business. It's literally the only thing that is the biggest headwind or tailwind. And you want more affordable housing, you lower rates, right? It's only so much else you can do. And day 3, he's like, I'm focused on lowering rates. Yeah, of course he can't wave his wand and the bond market doesn't like him and all that kind of stuff. But dude, he's focused on it. Like, how cool is that? Like, I don't know what he's gonna do or is capable of doing, but the fact that he's even talking about it in his 3rd day on the job, like, isn't that what we all want? Like, I don't care if you're liberal or conservative. Isn't that what we all want, is lower rates?
Yeah.
Like,
I can
can't fucking win.
Go ahead, Chris.
Is Christy talking? I don't know.
You go, Christy. Oh,
I was not talking.
I was like, was that too much of a last word mic drop? And
Who's not voting for lower rates right now?
Right.
What struck me with, yes, there was a flurry of activity, Monday evening into Tuesday, even into Wednesday and Thursday. What struck me was, how much housing and real estate has been in the discussion in this, first week, right? I can't remember, frankly, an administrative change where housing has been talked about as much as it has been, and there's got to be some encouragement there, encouraging thoughts for those in the industry, and hopefully it kind of spills into the consumer sentiment a little bit.
Any news on the financial institutional front, Christy? Man, I know you got your finger on the pulse on the fiduciary side. What's everyone thinking after a week on the job?
I don't know that I have my finger on that pulse yet, other than it's all over the place, maybe as volatile as the the stock market. Because what remains to be seen is what policies are we going to see that are actually meaningful, and who's going to be appointed. I think about our opportunity to advocate for what we need for the industry. We know that there's some significant changes happening. We've seen changes with mortgagee letters being issued. We've seen guidance changes that are really going to impact how our business operates. And as we continue to move on that front, what will those appointees do, right? I don't think I was just trying to look real quick. I didn't see that any of our housing appointees have been confirmed yet, but we know we've seen some of the names, and then there's still others that have yet to be even named with who would be their picks. And it's really going to matter about building relationships with those guys. So as we think about, when's the first time we're all going to get to DC and start to build those relationships and make sure that they have the right education and industry knowledge. And we're starting over again, if you will, because we have a new administration, and it's not even going to be the same people that were with the Trump administration the previous 4 years. And so I feel like we had built really great relationships as an industry overall with the previous leadership there. And that we were being heard in a way that's not saying that anybody takes our opinions as 100% gospel and this is what has to be done, but we're at least able to talk about the caveats and the things that when something is implemented, this is what happens and how the impact of the industry is. And if this is what you're wanting to do, but you do this might have this consequence. And is that where you want to go, right? It's an education process. It's not we're not lobbyists. When we go to DC, it's really not about saying, hey, this is what benefits us. It's about what benefits the consumer and what is going to, I don't want to say fix the problems, but I'll use that terminology to fix the things in the industry that we're trying to fix and to create a more level playing field and a better environment for the consumer. And we're starting all over there, and we don't know where people are coming from. We don't know what their education level is. And so now it's like time to gear up. And you just hope, hopefully it's soon that we can get some of those nominees either confirmed and the other names announced.
So I'm going to, we have a lively live audience this week, guys.
Okay.
Normally what happens is, and maybe it'll happen here too, but usually we have, a couple dozen, 3 dozen people that are joining us live at, 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific. And then usually it's 15 to 20 times that number of people kind of watch our show over the course of the weekend. So we're pushing 70 plus live. And so we've got a lot of comments and questions. I want to encourage our active live audience to stay active. So I'm going to kind of fire up some questions onto the screen. And,
I tried to share with my audience today for the first time. So I don't know if that helped. So I tried to bump it out to my audience on LinkedIn, but then it started telling me like StreamYard was going to post on my behalf and my company's behalf and my profile and steal my data. I was like, yeah, no thanks.
Ira, this is a great question. It comes up regularly. So for anybody that doesn't know, credit unions are tax exempt organizations. We're nonprofits, but that doesn't mean not for profit, if that makes a difference. We're not when I was at a for-profit company, I used to jokingly talk to people and say, hey, we are for profit. Don't forget that. Well, here we're not for profit. What we are is for members. And we look at, instead of, return on asset as a traditional thing, we look at return to membership. What are we giving back to each of our members in a way that is unique and meaningful to that member? So we're not a charity. We have to run a profitable business, but those profits actually go back to our members sometimes depending on the credit union, it's a direct check. And other times it's just, hey, we reduce fees and give you more things for free because we're valuing the community and we're valuing our members. So tax breaks, historically, if you look at the credit union movement, this comes up on a regular basis, is should credit unions continue to be tax exempt? Should they still fall in that category? The argument for that is absolutely yes, that the work that we do within the community and where those monies go are very impactful. And when you think about the K recovery that we had with COVID and what people are projecting to continue to be a K recovery as we move forward with inflation and other things, those that are less fortunate, I think the number is like 76% of Americans make less than $150,000 a year. 56% make less than the average income. And those folks are having a hard time. And credit unions were founded during the Depression to help the average everyday person. That's the reason that they're tax exempt. And that's the reason I think they should continue to be. KP, I'll let you take this one. This is right up your alley.
We actually want a balanced economy with sufficient inventory and market-driven rates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Thanks
yeah, appreciate that. I agree. I it's interesting. I'm here in Fort Lauderdale. CoreLogic, this is their 4th year in a row. They have this executive roundtable, and we have a very captive audience with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and so Chatham House rules, can't talk about everything, but I will tell you that it was fantastic. I mean, it's Selma Happ, their economists from CoreLogic give us a breakdown of the data, where everything's going, and I think the bottom line is that the Fed, bond traders, the smartest people on Wall Street, they don't know. No one knows. I mean, Christy, you brought up volatility, right, in the stock market, which, by the way, it's all-time highs today, right? So this is, so yes, it's volatile, but it's nice to touch to the highest it's ever been in the history of the history. But
I could live with volatility.
What's that? Yeah, volatility's tough. Like, it's a heartburn. Just throw your money in a CD with University of Federal Credit Union and Christie and call it a day.
Well, that might not be your best bet. Put some money there and then put some in the stock market. But
yes. Well, I'll just say that I do think that as more certainty comes to the market in all things, bond traders who are risk managers, like they ran the 10-year Treasury up to 480 because the risk of inflation. And then the CPI print came out, and it wasn't as bad as feared. It's the second month in a row with either lowering or flat owner's equivalent rent. And the bond market rallied 20 basis points, like instantly, in a day or two. And so then day one, Trump's tariffs, you know what? We're going to put a study together and figure it out. Boom, another bond market rally. So again, the Fed doesn't know. We don't know. I don't know. We could all make guesses. The bond traders don't know. They're just risk managers, and they risk trillions of dollars, so they don't want to get caught offside. So I think we are still supply constrained. Rates are generally improving. The economy is generally seen as slowing down this year, with GDP slowing down and jobs softening. So we're just going to figure it out month by month.
Exactly.
Bill Pulte. Joe, we talked about Bill Pulte last week.
Yeah, Joe may have tuned in late last week. By the way, guys, Joe Deline is like one of our most loyal show watchers. He's here every Friday. So yeah, we talked a little bit about Pulte. I think I threw out that his family's originally from Michigan. So that's shout out the Mitten State here. Yeah, no, it's been kind of quiet on that front. I haven't heard anything. Of course, I haven't been around the news today, so I don't know if you guys have heard anything around this particular nomination.
I haven't.
No. Sorry. Go ahead, Christy.
I was going to say, it's interesting. My experience with him, and I think we've talked about him actually a couple of different times. Like, it's like, oh, great, Pulte. So we hope we're getting somebody that knows a little bit about the industry already, that because they've been around it with their family. I mean, obviously he's not the original founder. My only, I'm going to call it personal experience with him, is following him on Twitter, where he is very active in giving away money, paying people's rents and helping with groceries and that kind of thing. Seems like a very generous and, seems like, because I don't know him individually, seems like he's got a good heart, and that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, I like having a mortgage lending, building insider, someone who understands our business. Look, supply is probably our biggest challenge, really. And so having someone come from the building space to help figure out how can federal power cut through local and municipal building permitting processes. I'm not sure, but the average home, there's $100,000 just to open a door in America. I know, you guys know, I flip houses on the side as a side hustle, and there's just so that the process, I will say, like, some cities are better than others, but there's just a lot that goes into, like $100,000 just to open the door. Then you got to, build the rest of it, and that's just for like permitting and getting the land ready and all that kind of stuff. So we wonder why there's not as much affordable housing in America, and builders, I'm not saying all builders, but most builders aren't exactly focusing on let's do tiny homes or let's do a price point at, 300,000. There's almost no homes for sale under the price of 300,000 in America. I mean, it's less than less than 3.5% of the entire housing stock. And so with insurance and taxes going up, we need someone like Bill Pulte who maybe can tackle that from a supply side a little bit better. I don't know. I'm hopeful.
I am with you. I'm hopeful.
So I thought of a bunch of questions, that we could kind of throw out relative to the specifically to the executive orders and some of the things that we heard from this administration during the campaign, right? And so we've talked about a handful of them so far, and I think for the most part, the potential benefit that we would see in our industry and obviously for the consumers we serve. This is not a political statement, so I'm just asking the question factually. But one of the multiple executive orders that were issued were centered around immigration, right? And so as we think about inventory specifically, might there be a downside impact on building new homes, depending on how far we go with some of these, immigration executive orders? So again, not a political statement. You got, no one's going to know which way I lean. So just throwing it out there for discussion, guys.
It's not a political statement. It really is a statement about employment. And if we believe that the employment numbers are true with where they are, and you look at the help wanted signs and the ability to hire folks, you have any decrease in population for whatever reasons, which kind of reminds me of the thing you see on Instagram that they tell military members, like when you go out in the world this weekend, don't add to the population, don't decrease from the population. So any decrease in population is going to have an impact on employment, and it's going to have an impact on our ability to build new housing stock. And we know right now, let's just talk about KP's world in California. We have, I haven't seen the most recent numbers, but let's call it 6,000 to 12,000 homes that no longer exist, and those folks need a place to live, and you're going to have to go into rebuilding, and you're going to need people that can come out and do that. And where are those people going to come from if we really have extremely low unemployment?
Yeah, I will say, the Pacific Palisades and the Altadena fires, it's not just a bunch of rich people. I mean, there are working class people in those neighborhoods. There are people who live in those houses for 40, 50, 60 years. And California has a really good, like a law that like the taxes can't go up that much per year. I think it's like 3% max per year. So there's some people who have been in a house that they could sell the land for $2 million and they're paying like $3,000 in taxes a year, So it's going to be obviously a problem getting through all the red tape. Maybe something happens there. My take on immigration and demographics is when you say immigration, you just say that, people like that word automatically gets people to go one way or the other. They dig in their heels on whatever their stance is. But the reality is our birth rate is not keeping up with our death rate in America. Even though people are living longer, people aren't having as many kids. And so population decline is what's ruining China. Their China One policy, where they were literally throwing baby girls off cliffs if they didn't have a boy. Now they have like 65% men, and their population is declining. Japan has gone through some population decline, and so it's crumbling those economies, and they have these problems. So immigration is a good thing for that regard. Like, I get it that, just having an open gate and saying, come on in, and then anyone comes through with no filter. I mean, come on, anyone who's reasonable doesn't want criminals here. Like, if there's a way to do it in an orderly fashion, we could, like, come on, bring your poor, you're tired, you're hungry. That's who we are as a country. So I will say that as it relates to being inflationary, I keep hearing, like, people say deportation is going to be inflationary because of the cost it takes to send, everybody back where they came from. But Trump did this in his first administration. I don't understand why people like have a short-term memory. He's just getting rid of the criminals. He's not going to ship out 11 million people. There are people that actually say that and believe that he's going to do that. And it just, I'm like, guys, we've already seen him do this once. Anyway, so I'm not saying all of his policies are perfect and I like what he's doing, but yeah, I mean, you saw the Laken Riley Act passed unanimously. So if every single person in Congress can agree that someone coming from the other country committing crimes on our soil is not going to be tolerated, well, then I don't think anyone's going to have a problem sending the criminals back. And so, but we'll see if it's inflationary or not. I don't know. I can't see how far in the future this policy will go, but past this prologue with his first presidency.
It's definitely going to be an interesting ride. I saw a question pop up in the chat. Brian, I don't know if you want to grab it.
This one?
Where do we see the targeting of these savings going towards lowering the costs of buying a home? I mean, this is a great question, George. And I wish that I had a crystal ball, but I think that we could talk about where we'd like to see these things go. You know, as you think about some of the policies that have been enacted in the past, when you throw money at it, if you just throw down payment assistance to it or something like that, that creates inflationary. It could be counterproductive to what we're doing. What we know is that we need more supply, and we need for costs not to go up as fast. We need to deal with some insurance costs, and because insurance is a huge thing. And if you think about one of the big reasons that insurance costs so much for many people, it's the age of their roofs. And so how do we look at that? Maybe there's things that we need to do to help people be able to afford to put new roofs on before they sell. You know, it would be hard to require every seller to do that or say that this is something that everybody can afford. Those are expensive. But if you can reduce the cost by making it more affordable to get a roof, like that would be an interesting and not necessarily previously done thing that we could look at and say, this could have some impact because it could help lower the cost of insurance and help make it more affordable to stay in a home.
You know, in my little town of Garland, where I grew up in Dallas, which if you've ever seen King of the Hill, that's where I'm from. Definitely not too rich. And we had two fires happen within about 6 months of each other in our neighborhood, whether it was from like a lightning strike or whatever, and complete losses. I mean, you know, one of them was my good friend Doug Marshall and his sister Susan, and their whole house went up in flames. I mean, they saved some of it, right? And so the insurance companies came in and everybody in the neighborhood got a new roof. I mean, literally the insurance companies are like, we're going to get out in front of this. And so whether it's metal roofs or whatever the case may be in wildfire areas, using good CoreLogic data, you know, for insurance companies to try and get out in front of some of these things, moving vegetation, you know, away from the walls, you know, whatever the case may be. I could see a lot of changes like that. As it relates to George's question, what's up, George? We got George, Joe, and Ira. Man, we got a heavy lineup of questionnaires today. But I'll say that you know, insurance, title insurance is something that everyone talks about. You know, whether you can, you know, whether it's really feasible to use, you know, attorney opinion letter. I know Fannie is doing some stuff with DOMA. Appraisals are expensive. Fannie has expanded in DU12 that's rolled out. They're expanded 90% LTV, and you can still get a property inspection waiver. I mean, saving the cost of an appraisal is a big deal. I love to see that expanding guideline. They have some other cool stuff that they're working on, you know, and so I'll, you know, who knows what else, you know, maybe the LLPAs will get changed a little bit, you know, and have some revisions there. And you know, maybe get back a little bit back to more traditional, like if someone has a higher credit score, they're not going to default, so let's not hit them as much, right? You know, so I don't know if I'm not advocating for that, but that's money in people's pockets. That's savings. But yeah, I think building on a local level is still the biggest problem.
I would agree. You think about how long it takes to build something out and what the cost of that is from the day you start dreaming about it till the day you actually get to do it. That can be very, very, very expensive. And, you know, Eric noted over here in the comments that, you know, in an area where for the Tubbs and Nuns fires, that they lost over 5,000 homes and they're still trying to recover. So it's going to be a long recovery period. And looking at local zoning and permitting and how you can do these things can have a huge impact on cost. The National Association of Home Builders has been a huge advocate of reducing the regulatory burden in order to get houses on the ground. Because when you have $100,000 cost just to walk in the door, as you noted earlier, KP, that makes it hard to build a house that's $150,000 that is affordable for a low-income worker. I think about the single mom who's got kids and needs a place to live. How do you build a home that they can afford when it costs you $100,000 in permitting?
Wow, guys, we covered a ton of ground. It was very presidential right from the get-go.
Yeah, congrats, Jody and Bianca.
That's right. Once again, congratulations to Jody. Congratulations to the Mortgage Collaborative. Bianca Bruce, congratulations on your new leadership role at Danda Road. And while we're at it, thank you again, Danda Road, for sponsoring today's episode. If you're out there and you want to learn how Danda Road can help you with your vendor needs, visit their website, dandaroad.com. And last bit of housekeeping, this show, Robbie reminded me that it's still in its infancy. It doesn't feel that way sometimes, but then other times it certainly does. So we're going to try a couple different things to make sure everybody gets this show every week. So I put my email address up there. Shoot me an email if you'd like me to add you to our weekly recurring calendar invite, so it shows up in your calendar, and we'll update each week's calendar with, that particular week's link to the show. If you've got friends, family, neighbors that are interested in this kind of this kind of talk, forward it to them as well. We'd love to have them join our show. But guys, this has been another great conversation with you two, as always. And just
see you in Austin.
Yeah,
right.
We'll see you. Yep,
Head out.
Austin on Monday.
See everybody at IMB. I hope I'm going to see, if you see me around, come up and hug me. You need 8 hugs a day just for mental maintenance. You need 12 for growth. So hug a friend while you're here in Austin, and I hope I get to see you at IMB.
If you hug for 22 seconds or longer, it's therapeutic.
Does this count as 1 or 20?
No, I think it only counts as one.
22-second hug. Big old bear hug.
Bear hug. All
come
right.
Here, come here, you big hug. Give me a hug, BB.
Sign me up, KP.
See you guys in a couple of days.
Thanks again to Chrisman Commentary and today's sponsor, Danda Road Consulting. See you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it, guys.